this is an overview of the Cruciform life. And as we've talked about before, it all starts with the fact that we were created to be cruciform. So here I am. God made me to be in right relationship with God, in right relationship with other people, and in right relationship with all that He has made. That's what I was made for. And that's why, as we've talked about, I long to be part of a community with God and people. A community that's on a mission to do something special in the world. This is why I want to be someone special, and with this community, be on mission to do something special in the world, because this is what I was created for. And I've just drawn it out here in the shape of a cross. There's nothing magical about this. I'm not claiming that God set it up this way. It's just a way that helps me understand what I was made for. So, we're created to be cruciform. However, as we know, cruciform is not the norm in my life or your life or anybody's life, because, as we learned in Genesis 3, Adam and Eve, who were created for those three relationships, rebelled against God, and so now all three of those relationships are broken. And rather than the arrows pointing outward to indicate that we were supposed to have a you first heart. Sorry, I'm backing up to the first point for just a second. We're supposed to look to God, to people, and to all that God has made and say, you first. That's what we were made for. However, sin enters the picture, and now, today, all of us are born with this me-first heart. We've turned the arrows inward on ourselves. And so now, rather than using ourselves to love and serve God and love and serve people and love and serve all that He has made, now we use God, people, and all that He's made to love and serve ourselves. And so our relationship with God is broken. Our relationship with people is broken. Our relationship with the world and our purpose in it is broken. Need to put these back up here. This is the state of the world today. The me-first heart has gone viral and has corrupted every individual, every relationship, every societal structure in the whole world. The whole creation is under a curse because we live with a me-first heart. So we're a mess. But God is still on task to create this cross-shaped community of cross-shaped people. And so He promised to Abraham, as we saw last week, that He would do something about this me-first heart, that He would create a people who are cross-shaped. And so He chooses Abraham and He begins to create this people, and He gives them His law, which says, since James calls it the royal law, I'll use purple. He says in the first 4 of the 10 commandments Love God. Be in a right vertical relationship with God. How that relates to creation is He's the creator. We're the creature. We submit to Him. Romans 1 says that part of our depravity is that we exchange the creator for the creation. So we got things out of order. God is saying, no, do not make idols. So put creation in its proper place. Put me in my proper place. That's the first 4 of the 10 Commandments. The last 6 are about a right horizontal relationship, with people. Beginning with our parents and authorities and all. So, this is all about I have to write it vertically. This is difficult for a lefty. Love God and love others. That was His law. And it was given, again, as a grid to both show people what they were made to be, but also to show them how they're not being what they're made to be. It was given to expose the me first heart in us. But the law is also a picture of the you first heart. It's a picture of what God intends for His people to be. And so that's what He did when He gathered a people and a nation, a kingdom of priests, and He said, live this way. But as we know, as the story goes, there's a problem. As hard as they might try, as close as they might get to this kind of community, it never happened. Sin always crept in. That me first heart hangs on and corrupts everything. And so, what was God to do? He made a new covenant. And He promised that He would do something about the me first heart that gets in the way of Him building a cruciform, cross-shaped community out of cruciform, cross-shaped people. He's got to change the building blocks so that His cathedral will be what it's meant to be. So, what did He do? He sent His Son, Jesus, the Messiah, in the flesh. And He lived perfectly the you first life that we were made to live. He lived the you first life that Adam and Eve were made to live. He lived the you first life that Israel was made to live. He lived the you first life that you and I were made to live. He loved God and He loved others perfectly. But that's not all He did. He also came as the sin bearer, the one who took on the penalty for our refusal to live this life. And so, in doing that, He not only paid the price for our law breaking, check, He took care of that, but He also fulfilled the command for us to be law keepers. Check, done. Jesus lived the cruciform life perfectly. And He died by being crucified for our rebellion, our refusal to live this cross-shaped life. Now, how does this change us? What does this do in us? In Galatians chapter 3, Paul describes this is one place where he describes. We could go other places, but this is a place where he describes how the cross, the message of the cross, the gospel, transforms us into this kind of people. He says, "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? It was before your eyes Jesus Christ was publicly portrayed as crucified." Of course, these people didn't see Jesus crucified, but in the preaching of the gospel, they saw Jesus crucified. He says, "Let me ask you only this. Did you receive the Spirit by works of the law or by hearing with faith?" In other words, did you receive the Holy Spirit that was promised by the new covenant? When, for example, in Ezekiel 36, God said, "I will put my Spirit in you and cause you to follow my rules and my statutes. I will cause you to live this life by the power of my Spirit." How do you get that Spirit? Do you get it by buckling down and trying real hard to obey the law? Or by hearing the message of the cross with faith? By trusting that Jesus has kept the law for you and paid your penalty for breaking the law. He says, "Having begun by the Spirit, are you now being perfected by the flesh? Did you suffer so many things in vain, if indeed it was in vain? Does he who supplies the Spirit to you and works miracles among you do so by works of the law or by hearing with faith?" In other words, now that you've received this perfect record and perfect sacrifice by faith, apart from doing the law in your own power, are you now is it up to you to obey the law and to be cross-shaped? I'm just going to do it. No. As you trust what Christ has done, the Spirit comes and he produces this life in us. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute and show you a little more practically how that happens. But in 2 Corinthians, I need to erase some of this just to keep it from being too cluttered. In 2 Corinthians 3:18, Paul says that we all with unveiled face behold the glory of the Lord, and as we do that, we are being transformed from one degree of glory to the next into the image of Jesus. So as we gaze at Jesus in the gospel and embrace him there, his Spirit, and he says in that verse, this is the work of the Spirit begins to transform us into this kind of life. And it's an incremental process, but that's what's happening as the message of the cross continues to shape us. So here's little old me. And God has created and redeemed me to live this kind of life. But if you look at Galatians 2:19 through 20, Paul says, "For through the law I died to the law so that I might live to God. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." As I believe the gospel, God considers me crucified with Christ. Here's Jesus again. I'm crucified with him.